Hello.
How are
Hi.
you?
I'm good. How are you? Are you in your car?
I am. Yep, I am.
I love it.
I
I
know.
love it. I borrowed Christy's office because it's sometimes hard in our big one because it's, there's so many people. So I was like, oh, this is perfect.
No,
I
thank you
got
so
the
much.
car.
Minivan, yay! Okay, well, Miss Rowley, thank you so much for taking time. I think we are recording, so we are good to go. And you might, since you started the meeting, it might download to your computer. So if it does, then we'll figure it out.
Oh,
But it may not.
okay.
Under my account. I have no idea. Still learning this whole thing.
Okay.
So, Laura, thank you so much for talking to our 608, our future teacher candidates.
Welcome.
And you've had a lot of experience in our fabulous profession. And so, as your current role as all the things that you do for the huge district of 259, I would just love for you to kind of chat with our people, give them some advice, give them your background, and just all the things. So I'll kind of give the floor over to you.
Okay, awesome. Well, hello again. Like Liz said, my name is Laura Rowley, and this is I think it's my 14th year in education, I think. Woo, I know. So I taught first grade for 11 years in the Hayesville School District. And then really I was just looking for a change, a way to keep growing as an educator. And I stepped into the MTSS facilitator role in Wichita. And I did that for 2 years. And so currently, like Liz says, I am now at the district level. So I serve kindergarten through 5th grade in the area of reading, so ELA. So I'm a K-5 ELA district curriculum specialist. Yes, it's a long title. Sometimes I'm like, what do I do again? But really, in our department, there are, there's really kind of one of us for each area. So there is a person that serves middle school ELA, high school ELA, and then someone that does writing as well. So we're a very small department. There are also 3 people in the math department. So again, somebody that serves elementary, middle school, and high. And then also a science and social studies specialist. So I just kind of think of us as a small but mighty, department. Before I didn't really know what all happened at the district level because it's very easy to get into your school and just focus on what you need to be doing there. And so really there is a lot of work. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes on and a lot of things that you just don't even really realize that happens. So I think the major part of my role is to support classroom teachers and then MTSS facilitators, which those are your instructional coaches. And Wichita has such an awesome system that they have all these support people in place. So anyways.
Can I ask you a quick question? When you say support people, are you here to support the teachers and how they deliver it, or are you there to support where I, as classroom teacher, call you to help me with a student? Or both?
Okay, so instruction. So when it comes to reading, support them by, for example, like I am the contact between the curriculum company and the classroom teachers and the facilitators. So anytime that a classroom teacher or a facilitator might have a question, and we just started a new curriculum in Wichita, so to get that up and rolling, there has been a lot of questions. And so anytime that maybe people ask me the question, like I'm going to that company and I'm asking for their support through it and trying to find the answers. We've also provided on-site support from the company. So, I scheduled all of that. I worked with, them to get that figured out. But also beyond the curriculum, it's also like information from the district. So any information that comes and that I need to deliver to elementary teachers, I use the facilitators to do that. So whether it's an email or it's professional development. So like 4 times this year, I've been working on professional development PDs that they get delivered to facilitators, and then facilitators take that information back to classroom teachers. So it's kind of whatever the district does. That's our funnel. It's really through the facilitators. As far as like with classroom teachers, as far as like direct support, I mean, I always will happy answer any emails, and I do get occasionally emails from classroom teachers where, hey, I think you might be the person that has this resource, or can you help me find this? And I'm always happy to do that. As well as if someone wants instructional support in the area of reading, that is my role as well. Like I can go out and provide assistance, whether that's modeling a lesson, co-teaching, or really just sitting down and asking what do they need as far as that go. I also, anytime there's a district level in-service, I help plan that. So it's the planning of it, it's the organization, and then whatever the content area is for elementary teachers. And so with it being a really big year and starting a new curriculum, we've had a heavy focus on that. So so that's been a lot of work. But you had mentioned, and maybe we had talked about this, but so one of the important resources I think that any new classroom teacher or really anyone student teaching for that matter is to know that we have instructional unit guides. And so Liz, I don't know, can I show on my screen?
You can, if you do your mouse down towards the bottom, there would be a green box that says share.
Okay.
Do that, and then all of the things that are open on your desktop, you just click the one, and then it'll
okay.
your screen. Okay.
So I kind of wanted to walk through just an instructional unit guide to show that. And then I also want to show KSDE because that is an important resource as well. So okay.
So when you pull it up, then at the bottom right, it'll say share screen.
Share. Okay. Yay. Oh, okay.
Perfect.
So as a district, every year there are teams that come together and they work on these guides, and they've really evolved over the years. And especially with our new curriculum, I feel like they've become really more focused. So every guide starts with an overview, and it just goes over our philosophy for planning and instruction. And so Wichita really worked on this, which I think it's really important. When we think about planning our instructions, like we must first have fidelity to our students. So what are and so when teachers hear, well, it's about our students, it's about your students, what do your students need? It really truly is, because what your students might need might be a completely different thing than what other students in the next classroom might need. And then we must then have fidelity to our standards. So no matter what curriculum is being used, we really, really, really need to focus on what our standard is. And because that's what tells you what is going to be measured in that grade and what your students will know. So we have really kind of pushed this message with knowing our students, knowing our standards, and then going to our research-based strategies. So how are we going to get kids to learn the standards? How are we going to, provide instruction and get them to make those connections with the learning? And really then last really is our curriculum. It also gives a view of the simple view of reading, which I think is just really important to understand the domains, the components, what is expected. And then it goes into the units. So now the units, obviously that is based on our curriculum, but the beauty in this is teachers have the liberty to write the dates that they're going to teach those lessons. It gives a kind of a broad, like it says August 20th through September 25th. So that's about when that unit should be done, started and ended. But then within those days, teachers have those flexibilities because again, what their students, might need is a different need from a different room. But they're really just concise. So it doesn't tell you, you still have to dive into your curriculum. You still have to open up your manual and look to see what exactly the lessons are about, but it gives you a place to start when planning. So a good suggestion when planning is to have your instructional unit guide. You would have your standards. You would have your resources. You would also, if there's any other, the research-based strategies that you need. And it gives them an opportunity, if you see where it says building-based instructional strategy focus. So a lot of our buildings in Wichita have chosen to focus on some instructional strategies. So they could be AVID strategies. They could be, it's called BDI, but it's biography-driven strategies. So these are, again, just good techniques to get your students to learn the standards. And then I'm going to go quickly because that's really just the same thing over and over for all the units. But I want to show the last couple pages. Okay. So then what this group of teachers that worked on this did is these are the focus standards by unit. So within the grade level, there are, your standards. And then what they did was they showed where that standard was within that unit. So again, then you kind of know how and when that standard is going to be taught. And then I know one thing we're going to work on is how and when that standard is going to be assessed. So that's something that's coming within our district as well.
Now, for those students that we have who are teacher of record or not teacher of record, but paras in our program, do they have access to these unit guides? Is it on a website, or do they have to be the classroom teacher, or where can they access this?
Okay, so one place is on our, it's like a resource hub. It's called OnBase. So it is definitely on there. Classroom teachers typically have these, it's a variety of what people choose to do, whether they choose to print it or they keep it in their plan book, or I know I would have this, I would print it and I would keep it, and it'd be constantly being looked at. But if they can't seem to locate it, that is when they can definitely email their facilitator, or they could email me and how do I get a copy of that?
Because this would be super beneficial as they're doing their lesson planning for this final semester and their KPP.
Yes.
All the work is done for them.
It is done. Yes, it is. Yep, it is. That would be a great thing. So and there's one for every grade level. I just chose to show third grade because it was kind of middle of the road. But each grade level has this. And you're right. The work is done. That hard work of, knowing where the standards are and where they are being taught. And
where was this when we did our student teaching?
This is something that I know. And every year, this is something that's reevaluated. So it's looked at again to say, okay, is this in the right place? Because you want to keep looking at that. That's important as well. Yeah. So when we say focus on the standards, literally you can look at this document and know, oh, okay, this is where this is occurring, and this is what, because it's really important to know what are you teaching your students. Because sometimes when you just read a lesson, it doesn't quite, but knowing the standard that it ties back to, oh, I get the purpose, or also sometimes there's more stuff in a curriculum than you need to spend your time on. So knowing what standard you need to focus on helps you know, okay, this is important to my grade level, and my students do need to understand this.
So are these done, so for our students who are going to be watching this now, getting ready to do PP, they could look and say, okay, when I talk with my classroom teacher that I'm going to be working with, I know that second grade in the month of March is going to be in the so then I, as the student teacher, can go ahead and start figuring out which lessons I can go over and do. Wow. Okay, perfect. Now, for students who are not in 259, because we do have several students all throughout the state, this would be something they could contact their instructional coach and see what kind of unit guide or curriculum guide that they use and utilize.
Yeah, that's what I would highly recommend. So if they are not in 259, I know there are other districts. I mean, we had something in Hayesville. I don't think quite to this extent, but it could be often called a pacing guide, or, I mean, I think ours have been called several things. Now it's the literacy overview guide, instructional guide. I mean, so most districts have something to this sorts, but I would definitely have them ask again, and they can go to their coach if they don't have a coach in a building. Ask your teammates or even your principal and see what they can find as far as that, because they are really powerful.
Very powerful. Now you said, okay, because the standards are so very important, and those are kind of non-negotiables. The content, can be flexible, but the standards, I need to make sure, like you said, because my students are going to be assessed by this. I'm not teaching to a test, but I'm teaching to skill sets. So I think that's good. And then you said you would be able to walk us through KSDE, which would be fun.
I would love to. I have, I really think they've done a really good job of making KSDE user friendly. Okay, so I think I'm on there now. So if you're at ksde.org, and really what I have found the easiest way, if I go over to this teaching and learning section here, I can see under here are all my standards, right? So I've got my English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies. So just for today's purposes, I'm going to show you English language arts. So if I were to click on that document, takes me over to this page, and then I go up to this tab that says standards, and I go to standards documents. And then what is super cool is they've got the 2017 Kansas K through 12 standards right here, but they've also got all of these vertical alignments down here, which are super user friendly. So you can literally see, and I'll show you one of these.
What does vertical alignment mean, Laura?
Well, it shows you, let me get you. Okay, so if I have, for instance, if I have writing, okay, a vertical alignment is going to show you from the bottom grades to the top grades, that standard and how it builds.
Awesome.
It's going to show you the very basic down to pre-K, all the way up to kindergarten. So you can really look and say, oh, wow. So this is what my kids did in kindergarten last year. This is what they're expected in first grade. So now I can see how that standard was built. And then, yeah, they've really done a nice job. And if you just noticed when I clicked, and I'm going to scroll back up, all of these are hyperlinked. So I can literally go to W5, and again, and then if I want to go back to the home page, it takes me back here.
That's so crazy cool.
It really is cool, and honestly, it's worth the time to get on here to play around. I will tell you that none of these documents really need to be printed. It is really more for an online use. I mean, some of these vertical alignments you could easily print as one-pagers, but the whole point is to get on here and interact with these hyperlinks, because some of these documents, this one's 50 pages, but when I take you, I'm going to take you to the Kansas 2017 Kansas standards here, English language arts. I think it's a 500 and something 500 page document. Yeah, almost 600 pages. You would not want to print this. No. So it's there for you.
Don't print that.
Please don't print that. But if you look, you can literally go and access all grade levels. So let's just click on 3rd grade. And now this is the overview page. So it tells me all my standards in writing, speaking and listening, reading foundational, reading literature, and reading informational. Okay, so if I was just to click on, let's say, reading foundational, it's going to show me what foundational standards lie within those grade levels. If you look, like print concepts are no longer applicable, no longer, or phonological awareness. And then if I want to just go back, I just click back on the number.
That's so cool.
And then I can drill down to an individual standards. Well, and that one's not assessed, so that was probably not a good one to show. But it also gives you, let me click on one that here. Let's do fluency. Okay, so if you look at the standard, it's going to tell you what the standard is, okay, some ideas that students could do.
Stop it. That is so cool.
Also going to show you the progression of the standard across the grade level. So again, that taking that vertical alignment, but now showing you the progression. So it's super user friendly. And again, like I told you, I think the best thing that anyone could do as a new teacher and even as a veteran teacher, we must constantly be looking at these and gleaning ideas and yeah.
So let me ask you a question. As far as differentiation, we have so many of our parents have had amazing experiences with working with a wide variety of students. And so as they start to think through, when I'm looking at whole class instruction, when I have my own classroom, I'm thinking about, okay, I've got 28 students in my classroom. I'm no longer working with, smaller groups.
Right.
So where could they get some good ideas that are standards-based, research-based, but for differentiation? Is there a place on KSDE, or is there other resources, or who would they talk to get some good ideas?
Well, okay. So as far as on KSDE, I really think it gives more of a broad, like a broad measure on that. And so I don't know if that would be the best place to look. And nothing is ringing a bell as far as like.
Sorry, I asked you this right off the cuff.
No, that's okay. But I think one of the things that I would highly, highly recommend, and Wichita I think does a really good job of this, is professional development. And so I think that's who I would seek out my coach for. Okay. And I would say, what in the building do you use for this? Because it absolutely is important. And we push. Some of the ideas will be embedded in your curriculum. So I know like in our manuals, there's always ideas for, let's say, below level or on level or even above level too, because we need to, not only do we need to think about our low kids, but we need to think about providing good instruction for our high kids as well. So that's what I would say, like look within really what's in your room too. I mean, that sometimes, but I just think asking like, well, I don't exactly know how to do this. How do I, because it is a much different scale when you go from a small group, to a whole group, and can be very overwhelming.
Well, you have provided some amazing, just thought-provoking, and I love that you've encouraged them to just kind of play around on that website. It is really user-friendly. They've done a really good job with making it really beneficial and super, super resourceful. So thank you so much for all the things that you're telling our students. And
you are very welcome.
This was so great. Thank you.
You are very welcome. I'm happy to help and be a resource for anyone that needs it. So
perfect. All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, friend.
All right. You too.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.